Oh,
All right. That did look cool, right?
Oh my gosh, no, it's great. I'm ready to party. Why not?
Right. Let's do it.
Haskell Day.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Welcome, everybody, to the first edition of hashtag BC Live Breeders' Cup Live. We are so excited to be streaming today, tvg.com, Haskell Day at Monmouth. We've got live video of the races that we're going to be showing you momentarily. We've got some great guests, including the voice of racing on NBC, the Triple Crown Breeders' Cup, Larry Collmus. He's in the green room right now. But first, let me introduce my co-host, Ren Carothers, Future Stars Forecast of popular renown, but you're everywhere these days.
Well, you know, I try not to spread myself too thin, but you got to give the people what they want. So,
well, let's do this. Like I said, we've got Larry in the green room. We've got a bunch of other guests standing by, but we've also got a race coming up at Monmouth Park. I'm just going to pull up the screen here. We've got the Monmouth Cup coming up here in just a little bit. Those are some of the horses right now in the walking ring. And let's handicap this race quickly, and then we'll get to Larry. So let's look at this race. Both of us, this is a good sign, I hope, landed on the same horse.
Yeah, we both landed on Bal Harbour. I think this horse gets his vindication. What a heartbreaker last year, winning or losing to War Story in such close fashion. I mean, just by a head. Mike Smith's back aboard. You know, I think he's a really cool horse. He's got a really good story. The PPs speak for themselves. I'm just going to give a fun fact here. Greg Sacco is now training, and Greg Sacco actually trained his dam Casino Transaction and won the Red Cross Stakes with her at Monmouth Park. So it's just a fun story, I think. And again, a really cool horse who's shown grit. And again, I think he gets his Monmouth Cup this year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The horse absolutely loves the track. As you mentioned, ran a really honest race in this race last year. The only time he's finished worse than second in the past 2 years was going a mile or when he caught an off track. Despite having not won it this mile and an eighth distance, you know he'll be there late. He's always charging late. Yeah. Another horse that we both like is down on the inside, the One Global Campaign. This is a horse that was on the Derby trail for a while. You know, this is last year, he beat Sir Winston in the Peter Pan before Sir Winston won the Belmont Stakes. Has always shown potential. That last race was a little disappointing. I watched the replay. You tell me, that race at Churchill, it looks worse on paper than I think it actually was.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. But I mean, like you're saying, this horse has been knocking heads with some really nice animals, including, I mean, just even back in the day, Vacoma is undefeated this year. It turned into a monster. I mean, back in that Jim Dandy, he was third. And we've seen the fact that, you know, Tacitus came out of that, just won the Wood Memorial. We also saw War of Will come out, switch to grass, and put in his career best buyer, winning the Maker's Mark Mile. So this is a horse with a lot of class. Blinkers coming off, which is interesting coming from the one hole, but we'll see what he does there.
Yep. We've got your picks on the bottom of the screen, and we've got your bets here. I'll put mine up in a moment. But first, it's hard to miss. You put a little bit of a long shot in there that I didn't see, the 5-horse Math Wizard. What were you thinking there?
Well, I mean, it's just the fact that, I mean, this horse has shown that, I mean, he can compete at this level, obviously. And he's beat the aforementioned Warville. He beat a really nice horse in Mr. Money, although I know Mr. Money was running more in the regional races and showing that ability. But that being said, I mean, I think you kind of throw out that first start of the year in 2020. He came back and maybe was just getting his wheels back under him. He had the outside post. I think he may have it better off today, but I also do want to mention a horse that, you know, the fact that this horse was a 16K claimer when he won his first race. And now he is a grade 1 winner. He's won over $1 million. It's just such a fun, cool story.
It is, absolutely. Since the odds are not on the board right now, that we don't see them at least, I was going to go through a couple of horses. One that we mentioned, the One Global Campaign down on the rail, is currently the favorite and co-favorite at 3-1, along with Monongahela, who's the 2-horse. The horse that we like, Bal Harbour, also 3-1. So really a spread board. They've got Global Campaign lit up, so you know he's the favorite at the moment, but that can change, obviously. Another horse I just want to touch on, because people who know me and follow me know that I've had an obsession with this horse for the longest time.
I know you're going.
Bodie.
I know.
Crazy Bodie, but I love Bodie Express. I mean,
definitely think he has a shot. I do. If his mind is straight today and he runs straight today, I think he has a shot for sure. I do.
Bodie Express 9-1 right now off the 6-1 morning line, the 10 horse in here. A lot of people are going to probably look back at the Howell's Hope, sort of a disappointing run, finishing third there, but went so fast again. Before that, obviously the Gulfstream Park Mile, not a great effort, tired late. So look, it all depends on where his head's at today. A friend of mine actually texted me and he said, listen, the fact that they've only let 1,000 people in today is a good sign. It's less crowd noise, less of a distraction. Hopefully Bodie will be able to focus on racing today. And if he does, he should be there. I have no doubt he'll be there and certainly give you a good run for your money. As I put up my picks briefly here and my selection, I want to point out just one other horse here, actually two other horses that I like a little bit at prices. The 3 and the 4. The 3 is Senior Investment. This is a horse who way back finished third in the Preakness at odds of 31-1. He's won. He didn't run well last out, but this is certainly softer company. I think this is a horse who stands to improve, and you're going to get a good price. He's got back form, got back class, so I'm going to take a shot with him underneath. And also that Harper's First Ride is one that's interesting. The 4 horse. Claudio Gonzalez taking this horse, moving him up from allowance level to stakes company. He does this with a lot of success in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. I'm going to give a shot to Harper's First Ride. I thought he could sit off the pace and potentially make a move at a big price. Harper's First Ride right now, 20-1 on the 4 horse Harper's First Ride. All right, look, we've got.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Say really quickly, in the post race, your current favorite right now, Global Campaign. He does really look nice out there, and it goes without saying that he's a really well-bred horse when you're by Curlin and you're out of an AP Indy mare named Globetrot. He's a half brother to multiple stakes winner, Great Stakes Play, Sonic Mule, and multiple Grade 1 winner, Goro. So
you are the human encyclopedia, Petty Geek. That is awesome. Let's do this. Let's bring in a legend around Monmouth Park, a man who called 20 Haskell Invitationals at Monmouth Park, and then has called 2 more since on NBC. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Larry Collmus. Larry, how are you?
Hey, Larry.
What's going on? How's everybody doing?
We're having a party. It's TVGeek.com Haskell Day.
Absolutely. I'm here in Solana Beach, right up the road from Del Mar, hanging out at Crunch Pizzeria. It's a great spot and great place to watch the races. I got Monmouth on one screen. I got Saratoga on another. I'm doing good.
All right.
How odd does it feel for you, though, to be there, right, and to not be in any way involved on this huge day, the biggest day of racing in New Jersey?
It's interesting. I mean, it's been a while since I've been in Monmouth for the Haskell. The last one was horse named American Pharaoh won the race, if you remember him. He was pretty good. So that was the last time I was there. But there were many years that I was calling the races at Monmouth Park, and my first Haskell was actually 1994 with Holy Bull, who was one of my favorite horses of all time. And so, excited to have had the chance to call Holy Bull. And over the years, we've had so many great ones. Rachel Alexandra, that was one of the more exciting ones. And of course, after I left Monmouth and got to come back for NBC, the chance to call Pharaoh, after he had won the Triple Crown and did it at my home track. In fact, I still live in Monmouth Beach, New Jersey. That's still my year-round residence. So it's only about 6 minutes from the track.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We think of you as sort of a Northeast guy, and just being all the way out in California. Of course, you're calling the races now at Del Mar. Just tell us briefly. I mean, what has that been like? Stepping in, filling the shoes of another legend out west in Trevor Denman. What has that experience been like?
It's been fun. People at Del Mar have been super nice, and the area is so beautiful. The weather is so great out here, and I've really enjoyed it. I've taken to it. Of course, we're not running this weekend, but we're going to be back next week at Del Mar. And we're looking forward to that. And in fact, we added a Monday, so we're going to run Friday, Monday next week, and that's going to be cool. And it's just like I said. You don't like this area, there's something wrong with you. I mean, it's a really nice place to be. And I definitely miss Saratoga and I miss Monmouth and the East Coast. But if I'm gonna have to miss that, I may as well be in a great place like here. So it's working out really well.
You need to get the Cucina Enoteca.
I know where that is.
So good. Get the squash blossom.
I'm trying to hit as many spots as a lot of breakfast places too. I'm hitting all kinds of breakfast places.
The Hideaway Cafe.
Yeah, I like Claire's. Have you been to Claire's?
No.
really
Gosh,
good.
we could do a foodie show on this.
Yeah. I'm telling you about California.
It's all good.
How
I'm from
about that?
Michigan, so it's all good. Tell me more.
Larry, you mentioned Holy Bull. Was that, when you look back at all the years? I mean, just give us a top three. I know it's hard to pick one. There were so many great additions of the Haskell over the years. What were your top three?
Well, he's got to be right up there, without question. Rachel Alexandra. I mean, that it was like a rainy, nasty day, and then but she beats the boys in the slop, and that was so exciting. So I mean, those two are definitely stand out. And of course, Farrell, would have to be the other one because he won the Triple Crown and he came to Monmouth Park after winning the Triple Crown. So it's hard to beat that. So it's, those three among the 22, and there have been a lot of good ones. But that's, I would think that they would be the standouts.
What's the pressure like when you've already called a Triple Crown champion in the Belmont, and now, like you're saying, you're following it up? Is there more pressure on you at that point, or is it kind of off because you already called that Triple Crown win?
Yeah, it was less pressure than calling the Triple Crown races, especially the Belmont, when you know that the call is going to be heard for generations after generations, and you don't want to screw it up.
Right.
So that's the one that.
Well, you nailed it.
So the thank you, but the Haskell after that, it's just like, you have to just take an ease back and go into the Jersey Shore flow a little bit there and have some fun with it. And it was such an easy win for him. I remember I think I said he won by 3, but he could have won by 20 because it looked like Victor Espinosa was water skiing when they were coming down to the wire on him. He was slowing him down so much.
I remember watching all the jockeys sitting on top of the scales room because I was there, and
that was awesome. I remember that too. It's the only time I've ever seen the jockeys at Monmouth do that. I don't think they've done it since.
They're getting close to going into the gate for the Monmouth Cup. It looks like there's a horse with the saddle towel off right now. I'm trying to figure. Oh, it's Bodie Express. Well, I guess if there was a likely candidate, it's Bodie Express. So.
Favorite horse.
Billy Koch,
There's Billy Koch. Yeah, look.
What happened?
Let's go. Did I jinx the horse again? Is it my fault?
You absolutely did.
Oh, I can't. Well, let's do this. Hopefully, we won't jinx any other horses here. But Larry, do want to get your quick opinion on this TVG.com Haskell. Obviously, Authentic is going to go off as a heavy favorite. What do you think? How do you see the race playing out? Is there any horse that has any shot at beating him?
I think Dr. Post isn't far behind him, and if you look at the numbers, they're pretty close, and even New York Traffic is right up there too, numbers wise. So it's a 3-horse race for sure on paper. I think those two have a possibility of upsetting Authentic in there, but I think that there's right now, Tis the Law and Honor AP seem to be the top 3-year-olds, and those two were both second to those two horses, and I think that that we're going to see them continue to be at the top of at the level as we get close to the Kentucky Derby. So I think Authentic and Dr. Post, it's not going to pay anything, but I think that's probably the way to go.
Well, that's what Ren's for. She's going to give us a creative wager here that's hopefully going to make us some money. So, look, we'll let you get back to your day. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us here, and best of luck.
They're making me call races here, by the way. I mean, I'm just here to enjoy the afternoon, and they're putting me to work.
Do they pay you for that? Do they pay you per call or what?
Yeah, they pay me. Yeah, something like that.
Liquid payment, hopefully. Yeah.
Liquid payment's good.
Liquid payment. All right. Thank you so much, Larry. Good luck. We'll see you along the way.
You got it. Anytime.
All right.
Bye, Larry.
Bye.
All right. So that was Larry Collmus there. We're going to add to the stream here now. We've got the horses heading toward the gate. We've also got now in the green room from Horse Racing Nation, Matt Schiffman. We'll bring him in a moment. He's there live at Monmouth Park. He's been taking in the action. He can kind of give us any insight from around the paddock and from around the track. We'll get to that in a moment. Ren, I told you I was fiddling with the sound here. Let me know if you hear any sound now.
I do hear. I hear Frank Miramati.
Oh, you hear him?
I do.
Oh, good.
This is such a cool shot, by the way.
Yeah, no, this is really cool that we could react to this and watch this live. I'm going to real quickly now just put down on the bottom of the screen your selections again so that people can see them if they're trying to get in a late bet. Those are your selections, and those are your bets.
Just whistle.
And I do want to mention at 5 o'clock, top of the hour, 5 o'clock, tune into NBC. You could watch live coverage there. We're, of course, your second screen on your phone, on your iPad, on your computer. But at 5 o'clock, you can actually watch live coverage on NBC. And we're going to carry you straight through until 6 o'clock. So we'll be on live the entire time.
And they're off in the Monmouth
Ooh, the
Cup.
break.
And Global Campaign
Global
comes out
Campaign.
running to take the lead. Jovia,
So yeah, this is where we would
is
see
also prominent
Bodie
in the
Express
early stages,
factoring,
and
obviously,
Right.
joint
but
fourth,
not now.
racing
So
on the
this,
outside of Senior
to this
Investment.
point, obviously
Harper's
benefits
first
Global
ride is in
Campaign. We'll
between
see.
those two. A gap of 3 back to Just Whistle.
We'll see if ultimately that
Math
makes the
Wizard is at
difference.
the back of the field with
Was that
4
Kurt
minutes.
who blew the
Into
break?
the first turn they go, and it's Global Campaign.
I didn't
Galloping
see who
along in
blew the
front by a length
break.
to Jovia in
Is it the
second.
6 horse back
Valharder
there?
not far away,
No,
just
I
2
think,
off
yeah.
pace in
So
If it's the
third.
6 horse, was Core Beliefs.
Oh, Core Beliefs, right.
Royal is fourth. 2 more lengths to Harper's first ride on the outside of Senior
I
Investment.
was looking at the
who's back
curves
for a
in the
bit
next
more,
race. Oh my
6
goodness.
lengths off the speed.
There we go, Core Beliefs.
And Just Whistle racing
So
on the
now Jovia's
outside
putting
of
on a little
Math
pressure. You
Wizard,
remember Jovia's
and
got a
3
ton of
wide,
pace.
4
Actually,
Beliefs.
Yes.
loves Monmouth Park
10
as
lengths
well.
covers them,
And our horse,
heading toward the
Valharder, is
half
sitting a
mile pole
perfect
in the
stalking
Monmouth
trip.
Cup.
So let's
And
hope
it's Global
he can
Campaign
seal the deal
cruising
from
along
there.
Up top, leads it by a neck.
There's Mononga
Jovia's
Halo, who I
right
think we
with
both
him in
had some
second.
questions
Valharder,
about.
Yeah.
Monongahela right together the entire journey. Another 3 lengths back. Harper's first ride.
All right,
is
so it looks like
cruising ground
Jovi is
steady.
pretty,
Math Wizard moving
is
up
pretty
between
much
horses.
all in right
Senior
here.
Investment to
Global
his
Campaign's
inside,
still going.
then
I think
Just
that would help
Whistle
both of
and
us.
Core Beliefs.
Yes, it would.
Midway
But
around
hey,
the
I'll take
far
Valharder
turn.
here.
Global Campaign trying to
Come on,
fend
babe.
off Jovia. He has a new challenge in the form of
He's in the
Look at the
sweet
horse
spot.
moving from the back there, the 5 horse. That's Math Wizard. Your
picking up
horse
some nice
is
momentum.
flying
See
from the
what I
back.
told you?
Fourth on the outside of
I'd be happy with him
Monongahela at the top of the
underneath.
stretch, and
Come on, Val.
Valharder
Where's your
is
lead?
now let loose on the
Yeah.
outside of Global Campaign.
All right, come on.
Math Wizard is
Kick
coming
away
out
with
for
this.
Valharder,
Kick away.
and Global
Kick
Campaign
away.
is not
Oh my
done.
God,
He
how
is
about Global
resilient on
Campaign?
the
I know,
inside.
dude. Oh my
Global
gosh. He's
Campaign
like,
turns away
Wow,
Valharder.
what a
Wow.
run.
Math Wizard rallies into second. Global Campaign
Wow.
takes the
well, where are my
blinkers
3
off, and
horses,
he
though?
wins the Monmouth Cup.
That was
Math
something
Wizard was
else.
second.
Buff
Valharder
that in a
third.
trio.
And it's a photo for fourth
Wow.
involving
All right.
Monongahela.
Well, look, if people played your picks, you did have the 1 in the double.
Obviously, we've been better the other way, but still.
Yeah, no, we're moving on. We're moving on. So, all right, we're
You
moving
know
on.
what's so funny though? Because I had it on for some reason I had scrolled ahead, and that's why I was like looking at the 6 on Current. I was like, Current's a chestnut with a little half moon on his face. I was like, this is a bet.
Getting a little ahead of ourselves, right?
I
Well,
know. I'm like so eager to like dig into this.
that's coming up momentarily. All right, so what
Look
we're
how
going to
good he looks, by the way.
Oh,
That-
yeah.
People talk about horse flash. Look at that horse flash right there.
I mean, look, to re-kick after taking that pressure. Now, I do wonder
Unbelievable.
if Bodie Express was in the race, what that would have meant for things.
Right.
Look, I don't think Bodie Express would have won, to be fair. All I'm
You
saying is I just think he would have put on enough pressure that may have potentially compromised Global Campaign a little bit, but
Yeah.
he just ran like a freak. That was unbelievable.
You know, I think it might be time for Bodie Express to find a horse therapist.
That's what my wife tells me that I need, is a horse therapist. So it would only make sense. Global Campaign, by the way, blinkers
Yeah.
off there for the first time. And so, I mean, man, maybe
Boy,
that did it.
doesn't this also just flatter again the likes of horses like Vekoma and Code of Honor, and I mean even War of Will being in this. I mean, they're really coming out now as they're maturing.
Sure. Absolutely.
And like you said, I mean, to repel a horse like Valharder, who has so much class, that was impressive.
Absolutely. All right. Right now, we're going to be bringing in our man, Matt Schiffman, live from Monmouth Park. Matty, how you doing?
I'm great, you guys.
I haven't seen you in so long. How have you been?
I know I haven't seen you since we hung out at the Breeders' Cup at Churchill Downs.
No.
You had your little one in the carriage. We were down there on the track in the tunnel. We had great time.
I know, right? I got to start them young.
Absolutely.
Matt, I thought I saw you celebrating there. Were you celebrating that last race? Did you hit something?
Global Campaign kept me alive in the pick 4, so that was okay.
Good. All right. It's all about being alive, so that's good to hear. Look, give us the. I know this is not your first rodeo. You've been to the Haskell many years. We actually were talking the other day. We actually met at the Haskell originally years ago. Describe the atmosphere out there today compared to past years. We know they capped attendance. Talk about, what you see in terms of mask protocols, and again, just sort of the energy there on what's the biggest day of racing in New Jersey.
Yeah, well, the attendance was supposedly capped at 1,000 people. I'll tell you, Ren and Dan, it feels like a lot more people here than that. If you walk in the back, or if you walk out on the apron in the grandstand area, there's a good number of people there. People are happy. No doubt these are hardcore Monmouth Park Haskell fans. It's not the usual packed crowd, but these are people here that are happy to be at Monmouth Park, enjoying a beautiful sunny day and taking in some really good racing so far.
Yeah.
What have you seen in terms of we're bringing you in here for handicapping analysis as well, obviously. So tell us what you've seen just in terms of maybe the way the track is playing and how that maybe kind of plays into the way you're looking at betting the next few races. Of course, we've got the United Nations coming up next, and that'll be followed by the TVG.com Haskell.
I think the track is playing pretty fairly. I've really been impressed with the amount of money that's getting bet here at Monmouth Park and around the country. With Del Mar closed, there's some extra money to get bet. Some of the early races, there was $200,000-$300,000 in the win pool in those undercard races. So that's pretty good. So far, the track seems to be playing fairly. Historically, Monmouth Park is a track that tends to favor horses out on the lead. So it's always fair to keep that in mind. As we saw with Global Campaign last race, they weren't able to run him down.
No, that's obviously going to bolster his, desire for, breed farms to bring him on in. I mean, obviously, with that pedigree also on top of it. So it's just cool to see horses win that way. And as we saw him repel that bid from Bell Harbor.
Looking ahead to the United Nations here, grade 1 here coming up, 1 3/8 on the turf. Really solid field. Just refreshing on our end the odds here to take a look at what the bettors think so far. And this, I don't know, maybe this surprises you, maybe this doesn't. Arklow opens up at even money off of a week break. So a lot of people are wondering what's going on. They're wheeling this horse back off a week. Obviously did not run the best race of his career last week at Keeneland. What do you think of that? And what do you think about who might potentially pose the biggest threat to Arklow?
Well, one of the things about the United Nations that's worth mentioning is that somehow Chad Brown doesn't have a horse in this important turf race, which I know he has won several times in the past. So somehow that happened. I'm not surprised about Arklow being even money. That's an awfully short price on a horse that, as you said, Dan, didn't run particularly well last time, just 6 days ago. An older horse. Certainly Arklow's got tons of back class, has won grade run races in the past, which isn't true of a lot of horses in this field. It seems like Arklow should win this race, but even money is an awful short price to take in this situation.
I'm not taking it.
Well, Ren, tell us who you're taking, and because I think again we sort of landed on the same horse.
Well, first of all, I was very animated just a minute ago, and I want to give an explanation because I'm not crazy, at least not. But the reason I was like going, oh yeah, is because when the pre-entries came out, one of the first things I did is I texted Dan. I said, wait a second, am I saying this right? There's no Chad Brown in the United Nations.
That's exactly right.
But so that being said, no, the horse, I haven't felt very strongly about a horse in a very long time. And when I looked at Corelli, I was just like, well, hot diggity dog. I mean, here's a horse. Jonathan Thomas has taken over from Europe. He's only had the one start in the States. And it was fine. It wasn't, I mean, yeah, he was 7th, but he was only beaten 3 1/4 lengths. I mean, it's all relative to distance from the winner, right? So You know, the fact that he showed ability there, and that is after, if you look at that running, if you went back and watched that replay, that was a legitimate bad start. He was not ready at all. And he's a beautiful animal, really well composed. The pedigree, he's getting Lasix now first time, blinkers are going on, sharpen that focus. And we got Daniel Centeno aboard. I'm a big fan of his. Now, again, you're by point of entry, a multiple grade 1 winner. And point of entry is by Dynaformer. Well, this horse is a 3/4 sibling to a champion in Europe named Lucano, who won the St. Ledger. And so Lucano himself is by Dynaformer. And so the pedigree is just so good. Just off the top of it, I would have liked him anyway, right? But that being said, I mean, he's also a horse or 3/4 Thought Worthy, who was 4th in the Epsom Derby. Again, it's a great pedigree. Distance obviously is not going to be an issue for him. And it's just too bad he's gelded, because I think this is a horse who could make some noise here in the States.
Yep. Matt, thoughts on that?
I'm going to try and beat Arklow in here. I'm going to go with Standard Deviation. From the barn of Graham Motion, came back, his race back doesn't look particularly good on paper, but Standard Deviation is a horse that last year won second time off a layoff, so I'm liking that angle. Also, Standard Deviation is 2 for 2 in his career at Monmouth Park. 2 wins last year on the Monmouth Park grass. So Graham Motion, a horse that loves Monmouth Park. I'm going with Standard Deviation.
Can I ask you guys real quick? I mean, he was metal. Okay. I don't think the horse is going to do anything.
No.
But dear goodness, like,
No.
that was such a bad start. No. I know, no. But I'm just saying, like, what do you think they're thinking, throwing him into the wolves here?
I don't know. I mean, Matt, you have any guess? I mean, maybe John Stevens thinking like, hey, it's an opportunity to just run a horse in a big race and maybe kind of run into a share of it. I mean, I don't know.
Well, John Stevens is stabled at Monmouth Park, and I have seen him send horses. He'll send horses over to Belmont Park. He had one earlier in the card at Saratoga. He's the kind of trainer that'll take a shot. And, sometimes when you're stabled at the track and they come knocking at your door asking if you can help fill out a field, you kind of say, sure, I'll help out and take a shot with this young horse who's got some potential.
No, yeah. I mean, like, I would never, say somebody has no shot whatsoever. I mean, we see upsets all the time in life.
I will. Eves Metal has no shot. And look, if anything, the horse has no shot to win. Maybe something crazy will happen and the horse will run into the money.
Maybe he'll get the exotics. Well, I think Perret is a horse who, if he sets the pace and maybe fades late, could, maybe hold for third or something, get in there. But it's interesting to see Current in there. This horse has been trying.
That horse seems like an overlay at 15-1. Current is one that I thought had a legitimate shot. 15-1 right now. The horse that Matt mentioned, by the way, Standard Deviation, 5-1.
Ooh,
yeah, Matt. We got to let you go run to the window there to make that bet.
You shouldn't have told me that, Dan. I was expecting 5-2, and now you say 5-1. That's a juicy price on that horse.
Well. No. Yeah, for sure. But what are my current odds on my boy Corelli? Let's see.
They bet him down a little bit. He's 6-1 now. So
here's another thing. I mean, like, he wasn't facing the toughest of competition over in Europe, but if you look at the running lines, one of those horses in there is Baghdad, which I love the name Baghdad. My dad was from Iraq, so hello, Baghdad-yo. What's up? So anyway, so Baghdad, you see the italicized. Out of that race, he won the Duke of Edinburgh Stakes at Ascot. He hasn't done much since. This colt also got beat by a filly, Tam Rear. If you look in the running lines there, that's actually a girl who beat him. But still, like I said, I think this is a horse who maybe is brought over here. He's going to really benefit from getting the change of equipment, the experience under the girth, and I just, like I said, I just feel very strongly here. That's a deep pedigree and a horse that looks perfectly suited to me genetically for this type of condition.
We are coming up on 5 o'clock right now. It's time for our reset and give you a chance to turn on NBC. You could watch live coverage of the TVG.com Haskell on NBC starting at 5 o'clock Eastern. We would also encourage you to keep it here with us as your second screen. We've got a lot of great guests on deck for the 5 o'clock hour. We're going to get into handicapping, the United Nations a little bit more. We're going to talk about the Haskell a little bit more. We're also going to have an ownership team joining us who's running in the Haskell. Before we let you go, Matt, real quick, give us your Haskell selection, and if it's authentic, it's authentic, but give us at least an exact one.
Yeah, I agree with what Larry Collmus said earlier. The top three in there and authentic. Dr. Post and New York traffic seem to tower over the field, but I'm going to take a shot to beat authentic. He's leaving California for the first time. Got to go a mile and an eighth. Maybe somebody will push him a little bit. I'm picking Dr. Post, and I'm going to use Dr. Post with authentic and a little bit with New York traffic, hoping maybe authentic runs third.
All right, Matt, go get your bets in on standard deviation. We will check back with you down the road. Good luck the rest of today. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes with us. We're going to do our own reset here at the top of the hour, 5 o'clock. NBC coverage starts right now. All right, welcome back to Breeders' Cup Live, hashtag BC Live. We've seen a lot of comments from people. You might have noticed we haven't gotten to them yet because the guests have been coming in fast and furious, but we do want to hear who you're going with. Tell us who you're picking right now in the United Nations. Tell us who you're going to be betting in the TVG.com Haskell. Of course, a win in your Ren for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Ren, I don't know if you know all of this. I was just kind of reading up on this. Not only does the winner of the TVG.com Haskell get automatic entry into the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic,
$7 million Classic.
Yeah, absolutely. But not only that, they also, the nominator who nominated the horse to the race also gets $10,000. So
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, as long as the horse is Breeders' Cup nominated, the nominator gets $10,000. Of course, the $150,000 in entry fees is paid by the Breeders' Cup, $10,000 U.S. travel allowance for horses stabled outside of Kentucky. And of course, this race has proven a key race in past years. Remember, most recently with American Pharaoh in 2015 going on to win the Classic. Same thing with Bayern going on to win the Classic in 2014. So they're definitely, this is definitely the race. And then this year, obviously, what makes it even crazier for the first time ever, this is also a points race for the Kentucky Derby. So you got $600,000 if you win the race, $1 million race, $600,000 if you win the Haskell. You get 100 points toward the Derby, and you get your automatic ticket punch to the Breeders' Cup Classic. And
this is something where authentic is already sitting pretty to get into the Kentucky Derby gate, so long as he stays sound and everything. So this would really mean more to another horse if they can get up and get those 100 points.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to welcome in handicapper here, Justin Powell.
Hey,
Justin, how are you? Can you hear us? Poor Justin.
I love his backdrop.
For sure. He's been waiting, by the way. I've seen him in the green room for about 25 minutes. Oh. And of course, the second we pop him up, tech failure. Well, he's
going to come on back because I want to hear who Justin likes here in the United Nations. And of course, the Haskell itself. I got to tell you, the United Nations, what a great race. I mean, and going far back, too. I mean, we've seen the likes of Dr. Fager in there. One of my all-time favorites, Roundtable. I think that's a horse who's so underrated and gets forgotten in the conversation often because not only was he a great racehorse, but dear goodness, he went on to be a very influential sire as well. But hopefully we can hear from Justin. Stephen here says he likes a Dr. Post. That's who I like in the Haskell also, I will say. I mean, not that that's, thinking outside the box. But you know who I was like, what is this horse going to do? It's the 4, Ancient Warrior. The horse is going to be stretching out for the very first time. And he's by Constitution. So obviously Constitution, won the Florida Derby at mile 8. I don't think the distance should be an issue. I know there's forestry on the bottom.
Yeah,
But
look, that's what makes, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but of course it is good to talk about this for people playing the doubles right now. Of course, you mentioned that you love in this race Corelli, so that's the 8 horse. If you're playing doubles here too, I'm with Ren. I like Corelli a lot. I'm also using Arklow. I find it hard to get around Arklow, and I think just based on the fact I'm not as concerned. I think I mentioned this to you earlier. I'm not as concerned about the poor effort last week and coming back off 7 days. If you look at Arklow's history in past years, they've given him a race at Keeneland. They've given him a race at Belmont in April and May. That didn't happen this year due to coronavirus and condensed schedules and cancellations and everything else. So they just brought him back a couple of weeks. They brought him back in early June to run at Churchill. They just wanted to get another race into him. This was obviously the target. I think Arklow, especially, I mean, again, given the action the horse has taken, is probably going to be very, very tough here. All right, I think we've got Justin back. We're going to give it one more shot here. Let's see. Justin, can you hear us now? Can you hear us, Justin? Oh, no.
Not yet. And I really would like to hear what he has to say. Can he text you in the meantime who he likes here in the United Nations, just in case?
Yeah, well, he should. We've been communicating on email. It's actually a pretty cool story. I just connected with him the other day. So he's 24 years old. Went to the University of went to USC, and basically went to the Belmont Stakes in 2015 without any knowledge or history or background in racing.
Oh, wow.
That was his first race, the 2015 Belmont Stakes. So obviously he got verified, right? He's like, I'm into this. I want to know more. He went to Saratoga, started gambling there, had a great time. And then now he's just completely immersed in it. He actually worked at TVG for a while as a production assistant.
Really?
Yeah, and he just recently graduated, and now he's working with Yahoo Sports. And so he's just really immersed himself in the sport. He was at the NHC. He wasn't playing in it, but he went to kind of just take in the scene last year just because he's intrigued by the tournament, scene and getting involved in it. So, yeah, but he takes his handicapping seriously, and I was interested in hearing what he had to say and who he potentially going to have in the UN. I'm sure he's going to give it another try, and we'll give it another try.
Yeah.
For now, we'll put the track feed back on so you can watch some of the horses coming onto the track. Again, of course, you could watch the races right now on NBC, coverage all the way through 6 o'clock, the TVG.com Haskell Invitational. And stay with us the entire time. We're going to have picks and analysis straight through. For the UN, we're going to go ahead and give you another look at our selections here for the United Nations coming up in just about 3 minutes now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the only way I saw that there was any way to make some kind of profit was to in like the double or the pick three, use just to put Corelli in there. And because yes, Arklow, I believe, is the class of the field. And how can you not root for a horse like this? I mean, even going back to his Breeders' Cup, yeah, he finished 8th that day in the turf to Bricks and Mortar won, but he was only 2 3/4 lengths off him. He's just a cool horse. He's almost won $2 million already, 27 lifetime starts, and it's a great pedigree too, especially for this type of distance. He's by Arch out of an Empire Maker Mare, Unbridled Empire, and he actually hails from the female family of Silver Bullet Bay.
Justin, do you hear us?
Yes, sorry about those technical difficulties.
Hey, nice to meet you.
I'm prepping all day. Everything is going good, except that I didn't prepare for that. So, but I'm glad to be on with you guys. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. So, what a great story. I was telling Dan, you got Pharaohfied, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just loving American Pharoah and becoming a fan of.
Yeah. That was that atmosphere was so electric. The first time we had been, that was the first race I had ever been to. And I know a couple of the longtime players are probably like, geez, this dude goes to a Triple Crown win on his first outing.
I know.
Yeah, once you're there, I felt like I've been watching the sport for 50 years. So it was it was incredible.
What was the first thing that captured your imagination about racing? Was it the greatness of seeing a horse do something that hadn't been done in 37 years? Was it just the atmosphere, the betting? I mean,
that was the biggest part of it. It was just the atmosphere, and you go there and there's so many different layers to the horse racing, to the racing experience. On the outside, you have the younger crowd, everyone's out there drinking, partying, listening to music. But then when you go on inside and you have some of the serious handicappers, people are there to actually watch the races and been following them, the whole season long. And these two sections don't necessarily intersect often. However, once they both leave the races, they have this like, I had a phenomenal time, and they never even talked to each other, enjoyed the same things. It's just such a dynamic thing. And in the strategy of it all, just is this problem solving. And it's like anything, like a Nancy Drew book. You get a form, you try to crack the code, and you get to the bottom of it. So it's just it's very stimulating.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I have to ask real quick. I'm sorry, Dan, but real quick.
No.
How did you decide to go to the Belmont that year? Did you just hear the hype about this horse coming in, or did you have a friend who's like, "Hey, you want to go to the track?" I mean,
yeah. Well, my family, we do a lot of family trips, family outings. We look for exciting things to do, and we were aware of American Pharoah, the buzz of it, and growing up, although I wasn't directly interested in racing or a part of it, I would hear, the Big Browns, Zenyatas, just any very noteworthy thing. So, we're from Northeast New Jersey. Sorry, I guess I should have led with that. So it's not too far of a trip for us to make over to Queens. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So go ahead, Dan. We want to hear the handicapping side of it.
Yeah, Justin, take it away. I mean, you've talked about your gateway to the sport, and we know that now you've been hooked on handicapping.
Right.
So tell us, how you approach the United Nations here. We've got about I want to say about a minute or so to post. We'll have the race up live here. You could also watch it on NBC if you're at home. Keep us up second screen. Justin's going to tell us how to bet the race.
Right. Well, I looked at the United Nations as almost the antithesis of the Haskell. I thought there was a tons more value in this race compared to the Haskell. I also thought the pace of it is going to be totally different. Where the Haskell, there's a lot of front runners. This race is going to be, a lot of stalkers, and the lone front runner is Perret. So looking at this race, I looked at it through the lens of Arklow isn't going to finish 1 or 2. I thought the quick turnaround isn't going to be to the advantage of Arklow. I'm not quite sure. What the trainers saw or what the team saw. Maybe they saw something we didn't see in his last outing in the Elkhorn Stakes. But with that said, I decided to focus on 2 standard deviation, 3 modification, and Corelli along with Perret. So I'm going to do a box exactly with those 4, and then I'm going to bet modification, Corelli, and Perret straight to win.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So a little mix of everything. Looks like you're trying to beat Arklow. I just made a case a moment ago for why I thought Arklow was going to be really tough here. But again, I'm not telling you anything. The horse is even money, right? So you're not going to make too much money betting on Arklow right now.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest thing to me is value. And to be honest, these 2 races, I tend to actually stay away from, the highly regarded stakes races. I figure a 5-1 and a $10,000 claimer at Delaware Park pays the same as a 5-1 at the Kentucky Derby. So I tend to stay away from those. But, given this opportunity, I'm going to make the most of it. And I looked for the best value, I thought.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to approach it. By the way, Ren, for the last race, the Monmouth Cup that we had on, I thought it was pretty exciting that we were reacting in real time, whatever. But people were throwing shade our way for speaking over Frank Miramati's race call. And
I know, we shouldn't do that. We'll give him the race live. We'll give him the race live. You don't have to watch us.
Yeah, so we'll this is what we'll do. Once the race comes on, we're going to let you hear the race call with Frank Miramati. By the way, Frank is going to be joining us in about 20 minutes. So stay tuned for that. He's obviously there calling the races at Monmouth Park. We're going to have him right before he calls the TVG.com Haskell. So that'll be a lot of fun. What we're going to do is we'll test the audio out here, make sure that we've got the sound on for you so that you can listen to it and enjoy it. And then I'll need confirmation from Ren and Justin if you guys hear it, because I hear everything on my end. So once they start talking, we'll know. So far, nothing. There's no sound coming from the track. Justin, real quick, look ahead for us to the Haskell. How are you going to approach that race? Very tough to find value there. Obviously, you've got 2 heavy favorites in Authentic and Dr. Post. Right.
I figure Authentic, pound for pound, we know it has elite speed, and it probably has the best probability to go gate to wire. But with that said, NY Traffic also has some formative, front running speed, and also a sleeper, Lebda, which I thought, its race performance is a bit mundane. The numbers aren't jumping off the page. But if you go back and watch some of those races, the speed in the first half of the race is pretty impressive. So I think there's going to be a contentious speed duel from the beginning. And I think it's going to set up perfectly for Dr. Post to, ride that rail. And also, I'd like to mention, Authentic in his last 3 races kind of had some trouble getting out the gate. Now, that hasn't had a terrible impact on him. He's won 2 out of those 3 and came in second in his last outing. But in a race where it's the race for the lead is going to be so tight. I think that could be enough to at least make the trip harder for Authentic, which again helps Dr. Post clean it up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We've touched on this a few times now, how the pace really will dictate a lot, as it does in almost every race, but it really will in the upcoming TVG.com Haskell, which of course we'll have here for you. You could also watch on NBC. I thought there were at least two horses that, especially stretching out, could make things interesting from a pace perspective. The 4-horse Ancient Warrior, the 6 Lebda, who we've touched on, and as you said, Justin, New York Traffic's has been forwardly placed race after race. Monmouth Park doesn't typically play friendly, especially the Haskell hasn't traditionally played friendly to deep closers, at least in terms of winners. But you have a horse in the 3-horse Jesus's team, who seems to be coming into form. He's the one who benefited last out when up against some really nice horses, including Ete Indian and Chivalry, who have been on the Triple Crown Trail. Sol Volante, of course. So he was right there with Sol Volante. I thought he was interesting. If all things being equal, I thought he was interesting. All right, they are finally in the gate for the United Nations, so we will stop talking. Here we go. Let's see if we get the sound. Well, they have it. There's no sound yet, Ren.
No, I don't hear anything. I was like, should I? No, I don't hear it. Ooh.
Hold on.
And they're off in the United Nations.
How about now?
That bounces out very quickly and will try to clear the field at once. Mugzamatic is also prominent in the early stages. O Dionysus on the outside. Eve's Medal is up close as well, only about 2.5 lengths off the speed. He's just been passed by Aquaphobia up to take third, and then it's Corelli about 5 lengths off the lead. Mugzamatic is now toward the back of the field, racing on the inside of Current. The 2 trailers are Standard Deviation and Arklow biding his time through the first part of the race. It's Perret galloping along with a 2-length lead. O Dionysus is clearly second as they have 1 lap left to go. Then it is Aquaphobia racing in third and Corelli on hold fourth. Current is 3 wide, racing on the outside of Mugzamatic, and down on the inside of them is Eve's Medal, about 6 off the speed. Standard Deviation yet to do his best running. The same can be said for Arklow. Around that turn, and it's Perret in control, leading by 1.5 lengths. O Dionysus has been second the entire way, with Aquaphobia and Corelli side by side. Then it's Mugzamatic on the inside of Current. Eve's Medal is now dropping back, Standard Deviation just outside of him, and Arklow has 8 lengths to make up as they come to the half-mile pole in the Grade 1 United Nations Stakes. Perret has been the controlling speed. O Dionysus a length back in second, Corelli into third. Down at the rail, Aquaphobia has saved every inch of ground in fourth. Current is next, Mugzamatic, followed by Standard Deviation. Arklow moves up on the outside of him, still 7 off the lead. He'll be caught wide. Eve's Medal is at the back. They're a 1/4 mile from home. It's Perret in front. Aquaphobia is asked to come after him in second. Outside of that pair comes Corelli in third. 4 lengths back to Arklow. They're in the final furlong. And now Aquaphobia angles out and takes a crack at Perret. Perret, Aquaphobia right to him. And it's Aquaphobia under a perfect ride from Joe Bravo to win the United Nations.
Yeah.
Perret was second. Corelli third. Arklow a distant fourth.
Nah,
No
not a good
excuse.
result for us. You know
No
what's crazy?
excuse.
I had Aquaphobia underneath originally, and I was going to
Yeah.
use the horse on my ticket, and I got caught up. I was like, you know what? Why am I overthinking this? Arklow's the classiest, best horse in this race.
Yeah.
Aquaphobia, like at this level, I was like, no. But hey, if you had Aquaphobia, more power to you. 10-1 under Jersey Joe Bravo.
Yeah.
Absolutely, is a master.
Congratulations. I don't mean to be
No, we can be upset. We're betting too, like the people watching. We're all betting.
Corelli did not embarrass me, but he had no excuse. He just didn't kick on. It just was running even there at the end. And the one thing I will say about Aquaphobia is coming out of that Grade 2 wise Dan, where he was fourth, beating 1.5 lengths. The horse that was third that day was Parlour, who trained by Mike Maker, who was just recently second to War of Will in the Maker's Mile. So
I just found a little solace in knowing our club didn't finish 1 or 2.
there you go.
That's my win for
There you
the day.
go.
I got 2 or 3. Could have did some show and place bets, but hey.
Sometimes those quick turnarounds work, and sometimes they don't. The horse is, like you said, I mean, you didn't feel like he was going to be at his best advantage coming in that quickly. Congratulations, Vanessa.
I want to say that this person is probably talking to me. Excuses. Excuses.
Look at this. I mean, oh gosh, why?
They're not excuses, they're reasons.
Yeah.
I like to call them.
There you go. But hey, at least I was right that I thought Perret would hang in there at least for the top 3 placing. Just with that, I mean, when you're going this distance, which is I just figured his type of speed could hold on for a piece of the pie.
Right.
But, so where are we going next?
So where we're going next is that we have a couple of guests that are on deck. We're expecting Frank Miramati, the voice of Monmouth Park, to be joining us momentarily. We were also hoping to hear from a couple of surprise guests that I don't want to give away just yet because
you know who it is, Justin?
No, who's that?
I don't know.
Well, it's a surprise. I can't tell anybody.
Let me look back in the green room.
You spent a good time in that green room too, and then we brought you in.
Well.
Have you been real quick? You've been to Monmouth at this point, right, Justin?
No, I actually haven't gotten down there.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
I've just hit Saratoga. I've hit Aqueduct. I've been to Belmont. I've been to Finger Lakes. I actually haven't been to Monmouth.
It's so much fun. You have to go.
Absolutely.
A lot of good injuries down there, though. I know that.
Speaking of, like, you were talking about sort of your passion for the sport kind of growing and you getting more involved in it. When I was in my late teens, I was still in college, and I just wanted to get involved in racing any way I could. And so I ended up checking, at Monmouth Park to see if they had any openings, and they did have an opening, flipping burgers and hot dogs and ice cream and soda. So I worked concessions one summer. It was actually my first job in racing. Yeah, that's what I did back then.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
You know what's one of the best things in racing there, though, at Monmouth Park in particular? The jocks room. I can't go in there because I'm a chick, but I have my husband go. He goes to the jocks room and gets me a pork roll. It's one of the best things you can ever eat there.
Wow, that's super, super inside info right there.
I'll tell you one thing about your husband, actually. When I was at TVG, which, they gave me the opportunity to be a production assistant.
That's awesome.
Your husband was always, one of the nicest guys. He'd always leave and say, everybody have a good day, have a good weekend. He'll ask how everybody's doing. So that was one thing that I got an opportunity to meet you that I'd just like to share with you.
Thank you so much for saying that, Justin. I am definitely going to pass that along to him. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you.
Oh, of course.
Justin, before we let you go, give us a bet. Give us a straight up bet. If you've got $20 to bet on the Haskell, how would you bet it?
Well, I'm going to bet. I'll bet $10. I'll go straight win on a Dr. Post, betting on Jersey Joe, hometown favorite, going for his 5th Haskell victory. Then I'm going to bet I'd evenly distribute, I guess, a $2 exacta with Dr. Post over Jesus's team. Then I'd do Authentic over Jesus's team. And then I'd also do New York Traffic over Jesus's team. So that leaves me with $4. And then I'll do a Lebda, New York Traffic, and box. So then that'll be the rest of it. $2, $4, $20.
All right, that's good. Yeah, we made you do some quick math there. We appreciate it. We've got our next guest in the green room. Want to say thank you to Justin for joining us and
thank you guys for
bearing with us.
We'll hang out at the track together at some point again.
Sounds good.
Or for us the first time, but we'll get to the track again.
All right, you guys have a great day.
Bye, Justin. Thank you so much.
We'll see you soon. And hey, Ren, you mentioned the Jocks Room.
I did.
And so we have a guest who, and you mentioned the female Jocks Room. I don't know if you know about the female Jocks Room, but let's see if this will come up. Oh, our video is frozen.
Oh, no.
We have in the green room, Farron Peterson. Farron, do you hear us? You're frozen right now, but do you hear us?
I don't think she does.
No.
Does the female jocks room have a chef in there to make a pork roll? That's what I want to know.
We can ask that question. I mean, these are the key questions we want to ask. Farron has been on fire, by the way. Like she's,
Yeah.
you know, she just moved to Monmouth Park. Wait, I just saw a little movement in the video. Farron, do you hear us now?
Something. Oh.
Yeah, she told us that the Wi-Fi. I'll tell you what they don't have in the female jocks
Good
room
Wi-Fi.
is good Wi-Fi. She told me that the Wi-Fi has not been good at all,
No.
and so you know that's part of the issue there. But oh, look at this. We got a special request here.
Dr. Post pedigree review. Thanks, Stephanie. Oh yeah, you know, so Stephanie, like, check this out, all right? So he's by Quality Road. Quality Road, I mean, this was a horse who could carry speed. We saw him win the Florida Derby, got 111 buyer, and he set a track record. And then he broke his own track record winning the Don, and he got an absurd buyer of 121 doing that. He won that race by 12 3/4 lengths. He clocked 147 2/5. And I mean, just a really, really talented horse. And that's why he basically tops the roster over there at Lane's End. And we also know Quality Road for that beautiful forelock of his, which, by the way, when he went to stud, the ownership said one of the things that could never be touched was that forelock. So that's cool on that side of it. So then, you check out the bottom side. So the dam, Mary Delaney, she got 100 buyer at Turfway Park on the synthetic there. She followed up that performance with a win in the Grade 2 Madison over Ginger Punch. And then the dam sire, Hennessy, he won the sapling at Monmouth Park, and that was ahead of taking the hopeful. And then he got caught a neck by Unbridled Song in the 95 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Mike Smith was riding Unbridled Song that day, getting the better of him. The female family includes Grade 1 winner Fiesta Lady and millionaire, multiple Grade 1 turfer, a turf miler, Thorn Song.
Look at that. It's almost as if you were prepared for that.
I know, I was prepared. But, Quality Road is one of those horses I just know at this point because he comes up in so many pedigrees for good reason. As he's just, the sire power there is fabulous. And Dr. Post, I mentioned that he's a Keeneland grad also. And we should actually mention, if I recall, we had another Keeneland grad of note, with Global Campaign winning the Monmouth Cup. He's a Keeneland grad. He sold for $250,000 at Keeneland September 2017.
There you go. Look at that. Yeah. Again, encyclopedia. You've got all this stuff just in your head.
Just in my head.
We've got Frank Maramati, who's going to be joining us shortly from the announcer's booth at Monmouth Park. We're, of course, getting closer to the TVG.com Haskell, which you can watch on NBC, or you stick with us here. We would encourage you to stick with us here regardless, but you could certainly stick with us here if you want to watch the race. We're going to give you coverage and share some picks here in a moment. We also wanted to tell you about a couple of cool things that are going on around Breeders' Cup, ways in which you could support COVID-19 coronavirus relief efforts. Yes. One of them, Ren has nearby, I know. Do you want to show us the masks?
I would love to. There's no reason why, while staying safe, that you can't also remain stylish.
There you go. The masks.
So, I can't put it too close. I'm wearing lip gloss, but it's really good quality. It's really good quality. And in all seriousness, everybody out there, let's, keep wearing these masks. Why take chances? And I know it can feel a little bit of a hindrance. It's easy to forget to put it on. Sometimes we've found that out traveling cross country recently. You get out of the car to go pump your gas wherever, you forget. But that being said, it's an easy way to at least put others at ease is to wear a mask.
All right.
Frank, there's one of my favorite people.
You've got great timing. You came on just to see Ren modeling a mask for us. So how you doing?
If anyone needed a mask on this broadcast, it's right over here, for heaven's sake.
I know, right? Cover this mug.
Come on. Oh, wait. And after multiple tries, we may actually have Farron Peterson on. So here we go. We've got a full house now.
Hey. Can I tell you real quick? Hey, Farron.
Hi, Farron.
I'm so jealous. Frank Mirmati. So I'm here at the house and I'm dealing with stuff. Matt Carothers is actually there on site. And
I just saw him.
yeah, and I'm like dealing with all this stuff, like work, whatever. Frank Mirmati sends me a photo, and there's Matt with this giant bowl of cacio e pepe pasta from Angelica's, which is an amazing restaurant there in Jersey.
Really? I haven't tried
Frank
it
introduced us to last year. Oh, you have to go. It's so good. And so
yet.
yeah.
Do it on a Sunday night, maybe, so that you have a few days to get back to your regular, very lightweight. Congratulations to you, by the way. You're doing such a nice job.
Thank you.
The horses get along with you, and they're running for you. And I can hear Julie screaming every time you win, so it's kind of fun up here, and can't help but root for you.
She lights up the stadium. It's great.
Farron, yes, your jockey agent is Julie Crone. How exciting is that? How'd you guys connect?
We met at Del Mar last year, just at the end of the meet, and then we hit it off, and she asked to be my agent. So we've been training together for all this time, and we've gotten really close. So it's exciting to finally be in action together.
That's awesome.
Farron, you've got, well, first of all, we know about your dedication and your commitment because you spent the past hour trying to get on this live stream. So
Yes.
want to give you major kudos for that, but we're going to test your patience even more and just ask you to hang with us. We want to ask Frank just a couple of questions because he's got to get back to getting ready to call the TVG.com Haskell. And we'll go with you all the way through the race, Farron. But now, Frank, just describe, this year is obviously clearly a lot different than past years. Describe what it's like from you and your position, your view, and just describe the atmosphere out there and what it feels like today.
Well, we have a very limited audience, and of course that is because we're following some very strict protocols as to the number of people that can be here. Normally at this time, it would be a very, very loud and just incredible environment in the background. But the people who are here are certainly showing the love for Monmouth Park that Monmouth deserves, and they're happy to be here, and that's really what it's all about. By the way, the American flag, courtesy of Travis Stone. This thing has been here since I got here in 2015. Travis had it up there, and good for him decorating the booth appropriately. But for me, it's I came in early, so I didn't really see the crowd. The gates hadn't opened yet, but I've seen the people moving around. We hear the crowd, and we're being very careful. That's what the theme of the world is right now. And for the second consecutive year, Monmouth Park is having to face some adverse conditions for the biggest day of the meet. Last year, of course, we had the heat that was absolutely out of control, where Mr. Drazen delayed post time until later in the late afternoon so that we could get the races in just before sundown. And now this year, the whole situation as well. But I can tell you this, I don't know what the handle numbers are, but I always look at win pools. Wherever I've worked, I look at the win pools. Yeah. Win pools have been astronomical throughout the day. I would expect to see a tremendous number when we release our handle figures later today. That's because awesome. Full fields, great racing, and it's good stuff.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, when it comes to actually calling this race, I guess on one hand, it's good. You've only got 7 of them to keep track of, right? But there's a lot at stake here. We've kind of gone over it. There's a lot more energy, I think, around the race just because not only is it a win and you're in for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, but it's also now for the first time a Kentucky Derby points race, to say nothing of the $600,000 check you get if you win the race. Talk about sort of the way you see this race potentially unfolding. And as we know, we've talked about Authentic Dr. Post. I'm assuming your eyes will be glued to them from the start. But there's also the interesting dynamic of you've got a couple of horses stretching out. You have the potential for a pace duel. How do you process these things as you're getting ready to call this race?
Well, the first thing I want to thank you for is to remind me about my Breeders' Cup Challenge paperwork that I just picked up as you were saying this, because I don't want to get in trouble with the Breeders' Cup by not giving them the love that they deserve. So here are the announcements that are coming very soon. So thank you for that, Dan. Good move. Company man taking care of business.
Right.
The way I look at these races always is to just, you have to focus on where the storyline is. And of course, the storyline, this particular race comes from the inside 2 post positions, and that is Authentic and Dr. Post. And to me, the big question for Authentic is what happens as a result of his last loss, because it was the first loss of his career. It was the first time he kind of faced adversity in his young career, and he was beaten by a horse that everybody is very proud of and very much a fan of, and that is Honor AP. So there's certainly no disgrace in losing to Honor AP. The question that I always ask myself, you may ask yourself, the question that I always ask myself when a situation like that happens is, what do we do
with regard to the Mike Tyson factor, which means Authentic dominated. Now he felt defeat. And believe me, he was tired at the end of that race when Honor AP went by him. The question is, does he bounce back? Monmouth Park has been a playground for Bob Baffert over the years because he usually comes here with speed horses and they usually put on a show. But this time, like you mentioned, there are speed horses in here who are legitimate. So the question that comes in, hold on, since we're live, this is the jockey's room.
You're popular.
Yes, I'm on a podcast or whatever this thing is called, something cast. What is it? 6 is +3. All right. Sounds of the game. 6
You
is
heard it first.
That's
Heard it first here.
The public's not going to know anything about this. A guy like me doesn't worry about 3 pounds, but a guy like Bobby Franco used to freak out over 1 pound, God rest his soul. So the question for Authentic to me, guys, does he bounce back, dominate? Does he actually have the ability to maybe sit off of a speed horse that's getting a little too aggressive, or do they just push the button right out of there? That's really what it's going to come down to, I think, for Authentic, because he has an immense amount of talent.
Yeah.
But Dr. Post is a serious horse, and he might get the nice setup right behind him, but they always run the race. I try my best not to get too involved in my handicapping before these big races. You just got to let the gate open and see what happens. But I think the storyline here is, which Authentic will we see? Will we see a horse that can actually go to the front and dominate? Will we see a horse who actually sits off of another speed horse and is better? Or, will he get cooked up in a speed battle? It's going to be very interesting. Will he put on a show? Is this the day for Dr. Post? There are others in here too. You have to, you have to enter to win. You got to be in it to win it. And all of the horses here have a chance. We see it every day. We're humbled every 30 minutes usually when we're at the racetrack with results that look like they originally appeared on paper.
Yeah, I like that. The Mike Tyson effect. That's one I've got to use. That's a very interesting way of looking at it. And we'll see. We'll see how he comes back. Certainly ran a huge race still. And I think most are expecting he'll run another big one today, but we'll see. Frank, we're going to let you get back to work. Thank you so much for sharing a few minutes with us.
I adore you, Frank Mirmati. I adore you.
Love you so much. And we miss Ava, and Matt is, I want to say one quick thing about her husband real quick, because we were at Angelica sitting outside on the Jersey Shore. And if you ever saw Matt and I getting tears in our eyes, it would probably be, it would be 1 to 9 that it was because of jokes being told. But he actually had this little emotional speech as the sound for Born to Run is coming. I'm going to go. But it was just about, we're getting older. How many more Haskells will he be here for? He was here 20-some years ago. And it's pretty exciting. So I'm going to go put him on the track, and we're going to listen to Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, guys.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Have a good one. Appreciate you. Thank you. All right. So, Farron, we've got you live. A lot of things are moving around right now. We've got another live stream coming in.
More friends.
Do you know Chris?
Woo, My Racehorse.
That's the My Racehorse team.
Hello.
Look at that. That's great. So My Racehorse, for those who don't know, you could buy into shares of a horse for very small amounts, for as little as a couple of $100s or less. They have bought in to a percentage of Authentic, who's going to be the favorite. Right now, Chris Ransom with us with My Racehorse. Chris, I heard that there were something like 180, 185 RSVPs for My Racehorse owners that are at Monmouth Park right now.
We are. We had a great crowd here with us. You can see many of them behind me. Everyone's social distancing, wearing their My Racehorse hats, My Racehorse masks, and most importantly, having a good old time at Monmouth Park. So it's a great day.
Well, have you caught a glimpse of the horse yet? What do you think? How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, everyone's feeling pretty good. We talked to Jimmy yesterday, and Bob's been texting us, and I think everyone's just really excited. He seemed to take to the track, been working well over the track, and listen, Bob says he's ready to go. Jimmy says he's ready to go. They said yesterday, all we got to do is get the saddle on him, put Mike on him, and let him do its thing. So, hey, we're excited, and we're about 14 minutes away, and the crowd's starting to build. The excitement's getting there, and we can't be more excited to be here.
How fun is that to have a group like that who, would I know I could not possibly, afford a horse like Authentic. Now you have a horse that you have a connection with on this intimate level, who is vying for the $1 million TVP.com Haskell, and a chance at also getting into the $7 million Longview Classic at Bruce Cup. I mean, how surreal is that?
It's exciting. It's exciting. When we, one of our big things is really to have the opportunity to give, race fans, regardless of, regardless of your means, regardless of where you live, the opportunity to play and to compete on the biggest stage, on the biggest days. And, the Haskell, and for me growing up in New Jersey, it's tough to get much more exciting than this. So we're super excited. Monmouth Park's been great. All our partners have been excited. And listen, it's time to get in the gate and see what we got.
Chris, we know you guys got to get set up. You got about 10 minutes left. I want to give you a chance to let people know how they can get involved with My Racehorse. Again, way to make the game accessible and easy for people to get involved with from the ownership side. Let people know how they can find out some more.
Yeah, come check us out on myracehorse.com. Obviously, we're running coast to coast. We had a good runner this morning. We did, had a great first out at Saratoga. And, our hope is get people engaged, bring people back to the sport, introduce it for the first time. And look at this. We got all these people here having fun, building a community. And what could be more fun than horse racing? It's nice to get back to some semblance of normality. So thanks for having us.
Well, I can tell you straight up, I've seen the roster that my Racehorse offers. The pedigrees are absolutely insane. Again, you couldn't get these pedigrees unless you're independently wealthy. So,
well,
just saying.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ren. Thanks for the support. And listen, guys, we appreciate the opportunity to see everybody. And hey, it's time to go racing.
All right. Good luck, guys. Take it easy.
Here we go.
Get it done.
My Racehorse.
Get it done.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Be well. All right, Farron.
All right.
We should say Dr. Peterson for everything else. Not many jockeys, I don't think, over the years have held the title of doctor, but Farron, of course, it is a veterinarian who started, if I'm correct, you started your riding career on the West Coast, kind of learning and underneath some of the best jockeys out there. I'll let you give us the history. It's pretty incredible.
Right. I grew up riding horses ever since I was a baby. Learned from my mom and then rode dressage and jumpers. And then always wanted to be a jockey before that. So during vet school, I was working at a thoroughbred breeding farm. And the trainer of that farm let me learn how to break babies at her farm. So then I went to the track, got my exercise rider's license. And then within about a year, I got my jockey license. And I was in vet school, but I was just riding weekends and I just wanted to win. And then, of course, once I won, I caught the bug and I was like, I love this. I'm going to keep going for it. And so once I finished vet school, I wanted to be a full-time jockey. So that's when I moved down to Southern California, where I met Julie Crone. And now it's about a year out from that. And we're together on the East Coast, where she really got her foot in the door at Monmouth Park. So she said, let's go back to my stomping grounds and see what we can do out there.
That's awesome. Can you actually tell people, because I once read a commentary from somebody who was in the show world, and they had always been curious about what it was like to be aboard a thoroughbred racehorse. And this person was an athlete equestrian, and she said she never felt her legs burn because the lactic acid of being in that crutch position. She was in so much pain afterward. How do you condition your body to withstand that?
Yeah, it's a lot of training. I mean, for all the different equestrian disciplines, there's nothing like holding a squat on a full speed thoroughbred, and you have to be conditioned. And I was a pole vaulter in college, so I knew how to get in shape, but even so, I just went above and beyond, and I always do in my fitness because I want to feel strong in the stretch, because that's when your horse is tiring, so that's when you need to be the strongest. So a lot of squats. I do a lot of cycling and a lot of running. There's really good parks out here in New Jersey, so really good hills. And so just as much, training that I can do for my thighs and quads, hamstrings, jump rope for the calves, and then just riding as many horses as you can in the morning, getting on those race horses, squatting low. And eventually, my thighs look very different than even when I was a pole vaulter. So I know that I developed them finally.
Well, how has your veterinary background also helped you as a rider? It's probably much more clear to you when you feel something's off or when you feel a horse is stronger than the previous ride.
Yeah, and you can read horses better, I think, and understand how to get along with horses, because there is a lot of that as a veterinarian, and you're bringing needles and things that horses don't like, and so you have to figure out, okay, well, how can I approach this horse and make him my friend and not attack him with this, you know? So there's a lot about how to get to a horse's mind and just come alongside them. So same with racing. I mean, they're not going to try for you in the stretch if they don't like you.
You might need to go talk to Bodie Express.
What's that?
You've got the horse therapist thing going right now. I think maybe you need to go talk to Bodie Express and find out.
There you go.
Farron, as someone who actually not only rode the track today, but also won another race at Monmouth Park today.
Congratulations.
Congrats to you. We've been talking about the potential pace scenario here and for speed on the dirt here, of course. They're going to be going a distance here, and you've got a couple of horses stretching out. They're going a mile and an eighth, and you've got horses like Ancient Warrior, who's stretching out from 6.5 furlongs. You've got, well, I guess Lebda has stretched out already, but has shown speed. And then you've got a couple of others here who have been forwardly placed, including New York Traffic. So 2 questions for you. If you were riding in this race, and hopefully one day soon you'll be riding in this race and races just like it, how would you approach it, first of all, as a rider? Did you notice any noticeable trends while riding the track today, the dirt track in particular? And then also for our bettors out there who are looking for a way to potentially beat Authentic, who are envisioning maybe he gets caught up in a pace duel or something like that. On the second half of that, you know, I don't know how deeply you've dived into this race, but do you think there's a scenario where a horse like that could get up in a pace duel and a horse might be able to close from off the pace?
Definitely, and I have not handicapped this race. I was caught up in my other races, but it is speed favoring, and Monmouth in general is, and then today the speed is carrying. So I would definitely want to be towards the front, but I don't think you need to be on the lead, and especially if there's a speed duel, then that's going to set it up for any closers. And so I always think the best scenario is when you're laying third, and the front 2 horses are going at it, and then your horse is just relaxing, following the tail, and you can just kind of put your horse into a rhythm and then save them until you come and open them up on the stretch. So I couldn't tell you which horses would be able to do that. And Authentic might just be such a top athlete that it doesn't matter. I've seen him galloping over this track all week, and he looks great out there. And of course, he has Mike Smith aboard, so he's going to know how to pace him right. Mm-hmm. But I do like seeing long shots win too. So kind of hoping that we get a little surprise.
Yeah, go ahead, Ren. No, go ahead.
I definitely see a hook and cook scenario potentially for Authentic. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's certainly rootable. I mean, I love the My Racehorse group, but it's just at that short price. I just feel like this is a scenario where he's not going to get it all his own way. Dr. Post is a horse that I feel is just going to sit off and take advantage of the situation. He's shown a lot of grit, that horse, Dr. Post, a lot of heart, and you know, there's something to be said for her dynamics. I'm sure Farron would agree with that. When you've seen a horse that shows a bit of an alpha male mentality on track, which we've seen from Dr. Post, I think that could definitely give him the edge to basically swallow up the horses there at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with the herd dynamics. You got to know your horse and where they want to be set and who's not going to let someone pass them.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to mention, let's just go through this field real quick because they're getting close to loading into the gate for the TVG.com Haskell Invitational. Right now, Dr. Post, the one horse on the rail, 9-5. So taking, is a little lower than that morning line of 5-2, taking steady support. Authentic, 1-2.
Yeah.
So bet down even more than what we had on the morning line. Jesus's team of the long shots, 15-1, now 17-1. Mm-hmm. So not drifting too badly there. I would say right about where we expected. That horse, Ancient Warrior, 41-1 right now. The 4 horse, that's the horse that's stretching out, who we thought could potentially spice things up on the front end with the pace. The 5 horse, Fame to Famous, your long shot right now, your longest shot on the board, 83-1. Lebda, 20-1 morning line, 66-1 now.
Oh my gosh.
Ren, I'm giving you time to make your bets. I'm trying to speak slowly so you get your bets in.
Farron, do you feel like this is a race? Do you feel like this is a race where, because of the pace, like things could just fall apart and something silly could happen?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. That happens. I remember being at the Pacific Classic when what's the Bob Baffert gray horse that won the Dubai World Cup?
Arrogate.
Arrogate, and no one thought that horse could lose, and
Yeah.
I remember hearing about like a multi-million-dollar bet to show, and he got fourth. And
Yeah.
so you just, especially when horses are shipping in, you don't know if they're going to back. Yeah. So I think it's a good thing that Authentic has been training on the track, but probably several of these other horses have, and it just depends on, you know, if they like Monmouth Park or not.
Very true.
Last horse in the field I want to mention, the 7 horses New York Traffic, is 7-1 right now, so that'll be your third choice. As they get ready to enter the gate, Dr. Post 8-5, your second choice. Authentic 3-5, your favorite. Farron, you're with us. We kept you waiting. You may as well ride this out with us now and watch this race with us.
Why not?
So they're going into the gate for the TVG.com Haskell. We're going to let you hear the sound of the race so you can enjoy it. Good luck if you got wagers in. And Ren, let me know if for any reason the audio is not coming through in about 5 seconds. All right.
This is really exciting. You got $1 million purse on the line here. You've got birth into the $7 million Longines Classic Breeders' Cup, November 7th, and 100 points to the Kentucky Derby to the winner. So lots on the line here at the Haskell. There's also a bonus that they put up, $1 million bonus if you win the Haskell, the Derby, and the Classic.
New York Traffic, the last
Nice.
one for the TVG.com Haskell.
Okay, I'm going to be quiet now. I hear it.
They're in the gate. And they're off in the TVG.com Haskell Stakes. Authentic bounced out beautifully, and New York Traffic comes away in second. He's not quite going after Authentic just yet. Lebda is racing in third. Jesus' team fourth. Dr. Post is down on the inside. He is next to Ancient Warrior, about 6 lengths off the pace. Fame to Famous, wide and last. Authentic gets a very easy lead. He's in front by 1.5 lengths, racing a bit off the rail. New York Traffic is in second. Jesus' team third. Lebda is racing in fourth. Then it's Ancient Warrior racing in between horses fifth, 4 lengths off Authentic. Dr. Post having to steady just a touch, and a 2.5 length gap to Fame to Famous. They're heading toward the half-mile pole in the TVG.com Haskell Stakes. And it's Mike Smith and Authentic carving out the fractions. Clear by almost 1 length to New York Traffic in second, and Jesus' team third, Lebda fourth. This is the way it's been throughout. Dr. Post asks for more on the inside fifth. He's 6 lengths off the lead. Ancient Warrior is losing ground. Fame to Famous has trailed throughout. Authentic takes him past the 3/8 pole, in front by 1 length. He's doing it effortlessly thus far. New York Traffic, hard-ridden, trying to cling to him. Dr. Post switches to the outside of Jesus' team. They turn for home. Authentic by 1 length. New York Traffic won't go away. He's trying hard, and Dr. Post finding his best stride, but has 5 to make up. Authentic just breezing through the stretch. Opens up to lead it by 3 lengths. New York Traffic trying so hard, and he is closing the gap now. Here comes New York Traffic after Authentic. Authentic, New York Traffic are going to hit it together. Here it is. Photo finish, Authentic and New York Traffic.
Who was it?
Inside. I'm going to say it's inside.
Yeah.
It says this.
Oh, I think Authentic definitely got it, but that was a little scary.
Finish.
Gosh, you know what? If I was going to be wrong to not back a favorite, I'm so glad. If he did indeed get the nose on the wire, I'm happy. I'm so happy for a group like My Racehorse, who's, you know, bought into this horse. You've also got the Avengers in play on this horse, who are a fun group as well. But yeah, we'll have to see what the photo says. But I do think it was inside. I'm with Farron.
I'm going to see when if they play it back here and they slow it down, we're going to go full screen here to hopefully get a better view. All right, we're about to go full screen here to give you a view of this finish here. Oh, this got really close.
It did.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Mike.
Ooh, yeah, it looks it.
By about half a head.
Yeah.
I feel like New York Traffic was either ahead or at least even with him at one point, maybe a half a stride before the finish. But at the wire, I thought Authentic got the best of that.
Did that look strange to you at the end also? Because suddenly it looked like New York Traffic was like on a conveyor belt. I mean,
that was
well, he is probably in the shallower part of the track, and Authentic is still running on the rail.
See, that's great insight to have right there. Okay.
That is.
Oh my gosh, was that so close?
Wow.
Authentic.
Yeah.
I almost feel like had New York traffic pushed him a bit harder,
He would have caught him.
I
But
do, yeah.
if Authentic had gone a little bit earlier too, I mean, that was a nice patient ride.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
who knew that New York
Like
traffic would come closing like that?
Wow. And so this is Baffert's 9th win in the Haskell. And you know what? I think Matt was one who gave me this crazy statistic. I think he's actually had 14 runners. So he's won.
Wow.
Yeah,
More
like
than that.
so he's won now like 9. I think the others were second and he had a third. I mean, it was crazy. Because I'm not sure if the 14 is with this horse or with I'm not good with the quick math right now.
Yeah, that's amazing though.
He is a beautiful horse, and I can only imagine just how crazy that group is going right now.
Oh my God.
That party.
I wish we could still see them on the live feed.
I know, right? Oh my goodness. You know that
down. I'm glad they were here for it.
Jersey Shore gonna be fist bumping tonight, right?
What else would you do? Farron, yeah, this is kind of interesting. You're on the East Coast, right? You're in Jersey now for this meet. Typically, the meet, you've got Asbury Park, you've got all these different things to do out here, but this year a little different with everything going on. I mean, maybe that's better, right? Gives you more time to kind of focus on business. But yeah, what is that part of your social life or your life away from the track? How have you been able to maintain that?
Well, I like outdoor activities anyways, and New Jersey has a lot of parks. It has apparently one of the best park systems in the world, they say. And so I've picked up mountain biking out here. I go running with my housemate's golden retriever. We have a pool, so I can swim laps. I ride jumpers in the afternoon. So I'm happy because I just want to do outdoor activities anyways.
That's awesome.
And so I don't really need to be going to all the restaurants and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit strange. But I feel like if I was in California, I think I'd be more restricted because they're on more of a lockdown than we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
my main downer is that I would like to be riding at 6 days a week, going to all the different tracks.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta stay, right?
Track, yeah.
Oh,
So,
I just saw Mikey holding the girth, the belly strap. Like another one in his hand.
There's an overgirth, and you take that off.
Oh, he took. Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry, he's not going bareback.
No. Like, I see the main girth on. No, I see the main girth on. But I was
saddle needed.
Where did that one come from?
No saddle.
I was like, where did that one come from? Because, like I said, I can see the girth there. But yeah, that's another thing. How can you not be a fan of Mike Smith? I mean, what a great person! Not just a successful jockey. I mean, it was so thrilling to see him get that Triple Crown win with Justify. But also, he's an amazing human being. He's got such a great, generous heart, and this work ethic is insane.
Mm-hmm. I've been to the gym with him back at Santa Anita, and he trains really hard.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to see him today. I saw him just as he was weighing in, and I was walking by because he was one of my mentors this last summer. So it was very cool to see him.
That's awesome. Now,
new friends.
Being a petty geek, I got to give you some information on this horse.
Huh?
I gotta give you some information on Authentic. I mean, as anybody should know by now, being by Into Mischief has just become a sensational sire. In addition to being a class type racehorse himself, he's a half brother to Beholder, 4-time Eclipse champion, wins the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, caps her career with that awesome, photo finish victory over Songbird. So you got Mikey there, was riding hard that day. And also he's Into Mischief's half brother to Mendelssohn, who won the 2017 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Went on to be good on dirt as well. Yeah. So, but then the bottom side of this horse is strong too. He comes from the female family of Grade 1 winners 7th Street, Longines Test victorious American Gal, and a stalwart favorite. You know him, you love him. I'm talking about Reynaldo the Wizard.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up, Farron. I at some point I'm like, Ren, just tell me who to bet. Tell me who to bet.
That's why she said she's going to geek out on us.
I know, exactly. But that's the thing. I mean, you would think there's a lot of speed in that pedigree, especially with his dam being by Mr. Greeley.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Greeley was second in the 95 Breeders' Cup Sprint at 31-1 to Desert Stormer.
All right, Ren, we're going to let you dazzle the viewers with more of this.
I'm done.
We got to let Farron go. We've kept her along.
Okay, I love keeping
way
her.
too long.
It
Farron,
was an honor to be here. Thank you for
great,
watching that with me.
yeah, great to have you on. Continued success for anybody watching. Follow Farron's journey at Monmouth Park and beyond. We wish you all the best. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll see you
All
soon.
right. See you guys.
All right, Ren, pretty unbelievable there. Look, my sort of quick takeaway on this race, and taking nothing away from Authentic, was game to the wire. The trip that New York traffic had, that chasing trip, when you're chasing good quality speed, to continue going on and to almost run that horse down, I fell in love with New York traffic there. He might not have won, but that was a very, very brave effort. And like you touched on there a moment ago, look, they did not. Ancient Warrior did not go. I didn't get that.
Love didn't go. Like I totally did not see that. It looks on paper that you've got all these horses who have natural speed, and you just did not see Authentic get pushed. Yeah. And I think if New York traffic had just traveled a bit closer to him, he could have been, that could have made the difference right there. We don't know, because maybe if they got eye to eye, but boy, like I said, at the end there, it certainly looked like he was on a conveyor belt.
For sure. I do want to say this was hard to make money in this race. You can look at some of those payouts. Your trifecta for 50 cents, $5.80. Your pick three paid $37.55. So I do want to say I teased earlier on Twitter that I had a long shot that I liked in the next race, race 13. We're going to be off the air for it. But just
I did not handicap it, but tease it.
For anyone who's been good enough to hang with us for this long, I'm going to give you the horse that I love. I'm going to go with number 7, Coop Tries Harder. I want to see if I can get some live odds for you to let you know what you're betting into. I think the price will be fair. The horse is 26-1. So Coop Tries Harder for me in the 13th race, the Wolf Hill Stakes, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. This horse has had some excuses in his poor efforts, but when he gets into a decent stalking spot and can track the pace without going too wide, he's always super game. There's some hidden form there that I think is pretty good. So use Coop Tries Harder, the 7 horse in the finale, at a big price. I also like Regally Irish, Trevor McCarthy on board here. And this is a horse who's had some poor efforts last out in particular, but he was buried inside, never really got a chance to make a late move. Regally Irish is a horse who's capable and who's also going to be another big price. Currently 11-1, bet down from a 20-1 morning line. So those are 2 long shots. Hopefully you can use those and turn them into some money. Ren, parting thoughts, and then I want to mention one other thing going on with Breeders' Cup before we fully sign off. Go ahead.
Parting thoughts are that, wow, I mean, it should come as no surprise to see Baffert have success in a big day like this, especially with Big Money Mike aboard. I'm super thrilled again for the group. My racehorse, again, I have friends also that are involved with Authentic, the Avengers. You've got the likes of Tom Ryan, Gavin Murphy, and you've got Donato Lani, a whole group of guys who have been great in selecting these horses. Also includes Frankie Brothers and Henry Field. And Jack Wolf from Starlight. Yep. Also I do want to remind people about the Breeders' Cup masks that you can get at the Breeders' Cup shop.com. These not only keep you stylish while remaining safe, but by buying them, you're also donating to COVID-19 relief. So it's a great cause. You can also, they have Charity for Champions going on with Maker's Mark special edition bottles. You can check that out as well.
There you go, bottom of the screen, the website for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, Charity for Champions. This has been very exciting. Obviously, there's, I always, when I speak to people who are not involved in racing, and I say, oh yeah, there's a race today. The purse is $1 million. It blows their mind. Yeah. But then you tell them that race can get you birth into a race that's $7 million. Like, of course, I'm talking about the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, and then they're just completely like, okay, well, where do I tune in to watch this? Because who in sports, where do you talk about this type of money being on the line in one event, right?
Yep. No, it's crazy money. This is the best of the best, and we saw a great race today. There's more great action coming up in coming weeks, by the way. The Breeders' Cup Challenge Series continues. Sure. Actually, it continues. You don't even have to wait till that long. It's coming up this week in Europe. The Euro Series continues with the King George and the Queen Elizabeth Stakes coming up at Ascot on July 25th. The Qatar Sussex Stakes, July 29th. Those races you can watch on TVG. Also, you got the Bing Crosby Stakes coming up August 1st, the Personal Ensign and the Whitney, both at Saratoga, August 1st. Yeah. And those are both win and you're in races. The Personal Ensign, win and you're in race for the Longines Distaff. The Whitney, a win and you're in for the Longines Classic. And then on NBC, you could expect to see more coverage throughout the summer. The Alabama Stakes from Saratoga, another win and you're in for the Longines Distaff, August 15th. So check that out. Go to breederscup.com, Challenge Series for more info. And then the website scrolling on the bottom of your screen, as Ren mentioned. We could, at this point, I guess, remove the track feed there. You got Charity for Champions, limited edition Maker's Mark bottles featuring the new Ted Bassett bottle. All benefits thoroughbred industry charities, including the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, Old Friends Farm, the Racetrack Chaplaincy. These are trying times for a lot of people and a lot of organizations. This is one way to step up and support the mass. Another thing, and again, you're doing some good, and you're also benefiting from it. In this particular case with Charity for Champions, you're getting yourself a nice bottle of Maker's Mark. So all that is awesome. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. This was, as you said, an absolute blast. We'll be back throughout the season. Our next show, August 1st. We mentioned that big day at Saratoga. August 1st. We'll be back live on August 1st.
Check it out.
All right. We'll see you all soon. Have a good one.